I'm not going to tell you why this page is bad because I don't have the time. But anyway, at the end of this review, this is the page we came up with as an alternative. Is it clear what you're supposed to do on that page? Okay. Now, this is a company that does, I believe, they're publicly traded, so I think this is right, $300 million a year in online flower sales through that catalog, through this page that we just looked at. Okay? They haven't changed it yet. Okay? You don't need to test to know that this is better. Okay? So unclutter your page so your call to action is clear, so you focus the eye on what you're supposed to do. Okay? A related problem is too many choices. So you understand that there's lots of things you could do. So the question is, what am I supposed to do first? Am I making the right choice? There's so many choices. I'm just going to punch out. What happens when I see a page like this? There are, and I'll save you the trouble, it's on the bottom there, 146 clickable links on that page. Is that too many? Is that a rhetorical question? Yes. So, okay, what am I supposed to do? Buy copiers, printers, and faxes from someone who calls themselves the photography people? Or one of the 16 products that are out of a catalog of maybe 100,000 products? Yeah, those are going to catch my attention. So you can't do that. Here's one of their competitors, B&H Photo. Now, they're not some paragon of simplicity either, but I kind of darkened out the supporting info. The bulk of their page is broken up into getting you closer to your goal. Okay? Is it clear that if I want a plasma TV that they have one? How about cameras? How about laptops? It's obvious. We're visual people. We go to the choices. We get closer to our goal. We're happy. So too many choices, bad. Don't throw product-level stuff at them in a catalog, for instance, when you have 100,000 products. Or these guys have 170,000. That's what they say. They're in green. Okay? So focus on their goals and getting them closer to their goals. All right. Number 3 sin is lack of upstream ad continuity. Now, if you're using pay-per-click or SEO to get traffic to your site, the question you should ask yourself is, does your landing page keep the promise that your ad makes? Does it match the intent of the user and what they're trying to do? Are you giving them what they asked for? So let's take a look. Here I'm at Google. I type in best digital camera. I get one paid search result. It says best digital camera. Okay, so far so good. That's my keyword. Get expert reviews. That's good. Okay. Cameras from Consumer Reports. So it's all good here, right? I have a high expectation. Anybody else? You think you're going to get what you want? You get to a page, okay, good, relevant titled content, over 56 digital camera models tested, which are top rated. Oh, join today. Anybody see a problem with that? You broke a promise. You said you're going to give me access to information, and then you put a roadblock up. Now, actually, there's a little link on that page at the end of the gray section that says click here to learn more, and that actually takes you to comparative videos and a lot of good free stuff, but you wouldn't know it from here. It's just, again, it's not about you. It's about them and their needs. It's not about you needing to get the subscription for Consumer Reports. It's about them wanting to get camera reviews. You have to balance how much you give them. You have to keep your promise. Okay. Number 4 is visual distraction. So where am I supposed to look? Here's an example of a page that's advertising on Google right now. Where am I supposed to look? I have no idea. Page has no structure. It's just a bunch of pictures and links, and you're all getting a good chuckle. Go back and look at your pages. Okay. Okay. Don't be so cocky. That's for me to do. Okay. Here's another one, visual distractions. I pop up this page, okay, and I'm presumably supposed to look at the page, but no, I have a little questions, live chat. And you know what's worse? That live chat moves across the screen. And I'm trying to click the X button, and I can't because it keeps moving. And then it goes to the end, and it goes back the other way. Now, as to paraphrase Cool Hand Luke's Warden in the movie, what we have here is a failure to communicate. If you have 2 priorities, fine, put them on the page next to each other with the appropriate amount of emphasis. Okay? If presumably you want them to look at that page, don't interrupt them on the way in. Okay? Common sense isn't. Okay, too much text. The question is, do you really expect me to read all this? Here's a company, Canyon Tours, that wrote War and Peace on their website. Do you really expect me to read all this? Now, okay, I'm going to hear from the SEO guys in the audience. Well, that's obviously supposed to be designed for SEO purposes, and all of that text is necessary, and yada, 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 yada. You should have a good experience on top that's visual and clear, and put all the SEO text below the fold where it's not cloaked, it's not hidden, it's there if somebody bothers to scroll, which they won't. So you can have both a good experience for the spiders and a good experience for human beings. What a concept. Do human beings read paragraph text on the web? No, they don't. Jacob Nielsen's done a lot of research in this area. He's like one of the fathers of web usability, and he says retention goes up, conversion goes up, and everything is good with the world if you cut the amount of text on the page. Question?
What about the long format?
The long form email.
Yeah, the sales.
Okay, the long format email. If someone's asking for supporting information, which you hide behind a supporting information link, great. You say, want a lot more detail? Click here. Okay, that's fine. It's also fine to have long sales letters, but I'll tell you what, you are going to find out that there's a lot of deadwood in those. That even the long letter as a format is fine. I'm not saying just be really terse. What I'm saying is test what's in that and how to shorten it. Okay, good question. All right, how about this? Here's another example. These guys are, uber geeky. They sell some kind of servers and stuff, but do you really expect me to read all that? Is that a joke? That's a landing page from a pay-per-click campaign, folks. Okay, enough said. Long forms. I have a rule in my book that I talk about for forms, okay? And it's a very simple test, the form field test. Is the information you're asking for absolutely necessary to complete the current transaction? If you can't say yes to both of those, take out the field. Okay? It's not okay to say, hey, my database guy said that if I have all 28 fields, then they can just create a new record in our database. Okay, that's not a good reason to put all those fields on the form. And you'll hear that a lot. IT should not be allowed close to customers. Remember that part? Yeah. Okay. Here's a pay-per-click campaign for a client. Lead generation for debt negotiation. Pretty cluttered page, but look at the form on the right. First name, last name, email, home phone, work phone, cell phone, best time to call, how much debt you got, firstborn male child's name. No, wait. Yeah, I think they had that. Anyway, so we said, what's absolutely necessary? What do you do with this information? They said, we call them. Then why do you need all that? Okay, so this was the winning page out of about 200 that we tested. Has first name, last name, email, phone, the state which you need for this, and the debt amount. 50% higher conversion rate. And that was across the board on the 800 call-ins as well as the form fills. 48 million a year higher revenues. Now remember, this is lead gen, right? You guys know what that means. Every lead sold has zero incremental cost for you. That's pure profit stuff. That's the nice kind of dollars. Okay. And finally, ineffective risk reducers and trust indicators. I don't know you from Adam. How many of you here work for an international brand that's recognized around the world? Sir, what's your company? Overstock.com. Okay. Overstock.com is a pretty well-known name. The rest of you guys are out of luck. Unless you have 100 million plus in TV commercial time to build your brand, you're not going to be able to do it in any kind of reasonable time frame. So you have to rely on trust indicators and risk reducers. Here's smartbargains.com. This is on a big monitor. See the scroll line? Where are all their trust symbols? On the bottom. How many of you have trust symbols on the bottom of your page? Come on, be honest. Sir, thank you, okay. Just admit it, yes, I have trust symbols below the fold. Okay. They're invisible. Here's how to do it right. PetSmart for a while was running this homepage. What do you normally see in the upper left of a website? Logo. It tells you where you are in the context, right? What do you see up there now? HackerSafe, but they compensated by moving their logo front and center in the middle of the page, made it real extra big, And so you instantly get this two-part message. And what is it? Well, we're safe to shop with, we're PetSmart, right? Yes, sir.
I did an A/B split test on that hacker safe seal, and I thought it actually reduced conversion. Putting the word hacker in big bold letters probably.
Yeah, well, that the hacker, the name, we did a lot of studies for them, and they did a lot on their own. It usually went the other way, anywhere between 5 and 15% conversion improvement. Now that McAfee's bought them, now it's called McAfee Secure, so that all goes away anyway. So.
If you put, instead of this one, if you put SSL certificate.
Okay, so what's a trust symbol? Okay, if I have to think about it and I don't know the trust symbol, that doesn't help me. Okay, so don't use secondary trust mark vendors. Oh, I can save $100 a year by using, instead of McAfee Secure, I can use Fred Secure. Well, you know.
Let's say instead of this one, GoDaddy or Trustee.
Yeah, Trustees just says you have a privacy policy about your data. So, I mean, if you know what it means, it's not as strong. If you don't know what it means, you're not going to. It's not going to mean anything to you. What I like to use is your mother-in-law test. Okay, will your mother-in-law understand it? If the answer is no, then, you know, thought SSL, I don't know, whatever. Okay. Here's another example of trust indicators. This is a lead gen form for DVD duplication and replication. Now look at where the form is and how small it is. It's on the left in the grayed out area. What takes up most of the page? Client logos. And what implicit message is this sending? Well, folks, if I can do DVD duplication for Walmart and Nike and ABC and the Gap and the American Red Cross, do you think I can handle your itty-bitty duplication job? And so, is that a rhetorical question? Okay, that's the halo effect. Borrow your client's credibility. The same test we talked about before, the real age test. I'll get to, sir. What do we put on the left? All their PR appearances. Huge brands. Okay, why did they do that? Higher conversion rates. Sir?
When you get the trust icons where the Visa MasterCard logos, you email them and let them know you're using their logos?
If you accept Visa and MasterCard, put it on your site. I mean, they want you to advertise for them. I don't think they'd have a problem with that. And okay, you didn't hear this here. Ask for forgiveness rather than permission. If somebody's really persnickety and one of these companies says, get my logo off your site, do that. Okay, you still have the other 29. Okay? Don't sweat it. I mean, if they're legitimately your client, if you're not misrepresenting anything, you know, they might make you change their name to text instead of using their trade logo and trade dress. Okay, but unless they specifically said you can't mention us as a client in any shape or form, do so. Okay, but you didn't hear that from me. Yes? Celebrities working the same way. Celebrities are a problem for another reason. Yes, generally they enhance credibility, but the problem is you'll probably put a picture of the celebrity on your site, and people will look at pictures. Our visual systems are wired that way. Pictures of people, especially, right? So we're looking for threats or mates, or both, threatening mates. But in any case, that's all evolution. It's wired in, and we're going to spend some amount of time looking at somebody's picture. So you have to ask yourself the question, is that what I want them spending their time looking at? And it's a trade-off. You know, they may like that celebrity or not, and they're definitely going to waste their time and attention on it. So, okay, so in summary, so we've gone into the dark recesses of the mind of the super affiliate, and we know they're lazy, greedy, mercenary, and something else. We've talked about landing page methodology and the basics of the terminology. Hopefully I've shown you case studies that this works in a wide variety of circumstances, and we've talked about the math, pitfalls to avoid, and now is my favorite part, the Q&A. So I'm going to open it up, and we have a microphone here that we can take around, or I'll just repeat your question. I think actually we've been doing fine. Sir, since you came up to the mic, though, go ahead.
Good presentation. I'm interested in, have you heard of Ion Interactive? They're a website, basically, for those of you who don't know. They do conversion paths. So instead of multivariable testing, they test conversion paths. And I'm wondering, they've had a lot of success, and I'm testing it on my landing pages now. If you've ever structured your tests in a path.
Yeah, I know the guys at Ion real well. They're great people. They do good work. They're mostly focused on B2B. And so the path, the idea is you have a more complex process you have to take someone through. That's just their little niche, if you will. I mean, when I say landing page, I mean the whole path from where they land on your site, which could be your front door or side door or specific, PPC landing page, to where they convert. Everything in between, that whole path, is fair game for testing. So it's just a terminology difference. We're saying the same thing in effect. You should test everything between the conversion point and the landing page. Yeah, Jim.
Hey, great presentation. I'm curious on your opinions about using video on landing pages. And where, when, why? Give me your secrets.
Video is fine if you have video that's 15 seconds long. Video is fine if you can only get the information across via video, or more compellingly via video than text or graphics. Okay, has the danger though that people will again focus on that. I think that video should be optional, and I think it should be in a thumbnail with a little player symbol or play arrow somewhere, so it doesn't take up all that screen real estate, and then do the video in an Ajax popover or something like that. But the real answer I'm going to give a lot probably in the next few minutes is test it. It depends on your audience and the application.
If you have more than one type of customers coming to your site, like the professionals, the beginners, we have a site that gives out discounts for shows, and there are people who are coming for the first time in their life to Broadway, and people who go every week. So the question, aren't the averages dangerous?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the final part. What was your question?
The question is experts and beginners, let's say, coming to the
so
site.
The
average is very dangerous.
I think that you bring up a really important thing that I talk about in the book, which, by the way, you're going to get a copy of for being asking such great questions today. I'll autograph it for you later. Basically, what you want to do is break things up into roles. Maybe your landing page, all it does is say, raise your hand, who are you? Okay? Am I a wholesale buyer or am I a retail buyer? Am I a returning customer or am I a first-time customer? Just let people self-select. Do I want a family phone plan or do I want an individual phone plan? The first page very often just breaks them up into roles and then gives them a much more tailored experience in a sub-part of the site that's geared just for them. So for instance, we had a police supply store come to us for some consulting, and they had everything under the sun. We broke it up into 4 very logical stores. Peace officers, off-duty, SWAT, and military. And everything just broke very cleanly up. And so the first page is just to select the role. And often that's the most effective thing you can do. Don't try to sell everything to everyone on that landing page. Thank you.
Hi, I was curious about the new extended verification SSL certificates. They cost quite a bit more than the regular ones, and I was wondering if you thought that there was enough perception out there in the marketplace with the green bar on top of most browsers that if it achieves anything.
Well, tested is the answer, but let's do a quick poll.
It's hard to do.
Who's using those? Nobody. Okay. Oh no, sorry, 2 people. Who's heard of them? Okay, a few more people. So I think there's your answer. It's not really in wide adoption yet, but impromptu survey. Yeah.
When the action that you're wanting the visitors to take is to opt in, do you think that rather than just having an opt-in box, which a lot of people are getting kind of anesthetized to, and they may have a pretty bad inbox problem, and do you think that putting a slight survey questionnaire that gears the second page that they get when they click, that gears that to their answers and then provides the opt-in box, do you think that's helpful, or do you think that's confusing and distracting?
If I understand your question.
In other words, they'll have a set of, maybe 5 questions. They're going to say, what do you like better, what is your level of expertise in this, and then they click enter and they get click here for whatever, for more information, and it takes
so
you to the
what I
opt-in.
think the general question you may be asking is, do you show everything at once or do you split it into smaller pieces? Would that be fair?
Well, no, do you think that it's a better idea, since, to basically to get them to start taking action so that they will opt in?
Right, so that's again, so you might just ask for their zip code on page 1 and then their age on page 2.
Exactly.
That's I'm sorry, again, one of those tested questions. I've seen 7-page forms come down to 1 and it worked better, and I've seen a single page exploded to 4 and it works better. It depends on the application and whether you get them down that slippery slope, you know, start investing skin in the game, to mix some more metaphors.
All right, thanks.
So, yes?
I was just wondering, usually on the landing page, the first page is just the first part of the conversion, where you have, you know, if the conversion is to get somebody into a mailing list, most of the time you have like a double opt-in, and then also, you know, if it's a purchase, you're going to go to a different page,
right,
or even a different site to order the product. What are your recommendations on getting people to act for that second step that they have to go through? Or is there just testing?
Well, usually testing is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing kind of hopefully core competency that all of you will build inside your companies. And what we normally do is start at the front end and progressively work down the registration or conversion process. And the reason you do that is because, first of all, opening up anything helps. But it's a lot easier to test if you have high data rates. So if you have a click-through to another page as your action, you'll probably have a lot more of those than actual purchases or trials or conversions down the road. So do the more granular kind of micro actions upstream, clear up the front of that process, then you have more coming out of the bottom part, and then you can optimize that. So that's kind of what we recommend as best practice.
Do you recommend keeping somebody on the site to do the final credit card transaction? Or do you think forwarding to another site like ClickBank or any of those others is okay?
I think that the most important thing is consistency and no surprises. If you go from your site, which is an immersive experience, to ClickBank, stripped down white page, and they don't even know what product they're buying, much less the company they're buying it from, that's a big disconnect. And you're losing 20, 30% of people probably right there. They go, what the hell? And can I trust these people? What just happened, right? I mean, even experienced internet users are kind of go, I'm not sure, right? You don't want them to have that thought. So.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, I was wondering if you do any testing that involves real-time looking at a person live on the site, navigating the site, and how that might play into all this.
Okay, that's a great question. There's a panel tomorrow that Trevor from Google, raise your hand, Trevor, is going to be on, and Olivier Shane from Magnify 360. And basically, landing page testing you could come at from two angles. We're coming at it from the large mass of people coming from the same traffic sources view, okay? And we want to help, on average, those people. And you might segment it by traffic source. If you have a lot coming from a particular traffic source, you can design a test just for those folks, right? But the other part you're asking about, okay, what about, say, cross-selling engine, which recommends something to buy based on your behavior on the site, or whether you're a repeat customer, or some other personalized knowledge. That's a very valid way to go about it too, but they're really at odds. In the middle, we're still trying to figure out how to make them fit. There's the macro view of help the average person, and there's the micro view of watch the individual's actions. Both have room for improvement, you know, in them, but they don't necessarily meld in the middle.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Tim. My question is, I've seen these web pages where it's like just like these super long pages, and there's boxes, and there's testimony, and there's yellow highlights, big fonts, small fonts, and all the way down to the bottom, and they're, you know, save now, and throwing all these things. And the rumor on the street is that those pages convert really, really well. I hate them. I can't really believe that they convert well versus what I would call normal. So the question is that true?
Does anyone have a long and ugly that converts well? Okay, a few people. And this is much to my surprise as well. They do. And again, the question is, can you test them to make them better? The answer is definitely yes. There's a lot of deadwood in those long sales letters. But there's a certain class of consumer products under $20 or whatever, aimed at kind of a dumb shit audience, frankly, that stuff works for. And we've kind of run aground on the rocks of underestimating customer stupidity. And we've shortened those or made them into microsites. And it makes things worse. We have proven that it makes things worse. So don't dismiss them. They're a perfectly legitimate format for a particular segment of offers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Before I add my question, I'll tell you, I read your book. Everyone here should have his book, and I haven't met him before. That's a great, great book.
Here's your $20, sir. No, please.
No. Oh, well, I guess I'm buying him drinks then. My question is, your landing pages are exceptional. I really am very impressed. My question is, how do you get the information? You didn't talk about interviewing customers. Have you used any customer discount coupons for them to give feedback?
Okay, so how do you incentivize someone to give up information? Okay, Seth Godin's book, Permission Marketing, is kind of the Bible on it, and he gives a whole hierarchy of customer intimacy and what they allow you to do with that intimacy that you can go through. And the highest level is intravenous, like where you get to take money out of their wallet anytime you want to, like the phone company or people like that. Basically, you have to come up with as compelling a bribe as possible. And if you're selling something intangible, like an information product or software, give them an unrestricted trial. Give them a white paper that tells them about the pros and cons of doing some complicated thing. Give them all of a summary of all the FDA research on this, on different weight loss products, including yours. Okay, so give them something that's of value to them that costs you zip incrementally. So create that once, repurpose it. You can go to somebody else, say, hey, your study is great. Can I hand it out free to people that might be a good target audience for you? And a lot of people will say yes. Give them credit, and they'll give you the content to bribe your audience with. Okay, so things like that.
Well, do you give them multiple choice questions of things? Like I noticed that yours seem to be streamlined down. Do you, when you do your analysis, do you get feedback that
choice is bad? Choice is bad. Steve Krug has a great book on usability called Don't Make Me Think. And I think the title pretty much says it all. Don't make me think. Don't make me decide. Don't make me question anything. Don't give me a choice of two things as a bribe or a reward. Give me both of them. Just give them the most compelling bribe you can to get their email, and then you have established ongoing communication with them in whatever that means in your world. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes?
Any company you can recommend that designs the landing pages?
Any company to recommend that to actually design the landing pages? No, I mean, everyone's got their slant on it. Some people are more artsy oriented, others are more usability focused, others are copywriting. Everyone's got their flaws. One of the things I try to do in my book towards the end is I talk about all the different cast of characters that are involved, and it's the IT guy, the QA guy, the product manager, the copywriter, the usability people. It's a lot of different hats, and you really have to have all those perspectives. A more efficient business isn't a function of a good web design company. Okay, and really, one of the things I have you question, at least in the designs, is do they meet your business objectives? Even if you're using an outside web development firm, you have to ultimately own it and be responsible for it. Does it support your business strategy? They came up with, usually, hey, look, A, B, and C. You like the green one, the blue one, or the purple one? Well, none of them have a call to action button. We have a problem, Houston. You see what I mean? It's about the business. It's about matching your business goals and the expectations of your audience. And that's the filter you have to have, and whoever's helping you with that has to have that as well. Be real careful of creative agency, which use a lot more flash and graphics and sizzle to sell the steak, because usually that undermines the business goals. That's the only thing I can really say on that. Sir? I'm sorry? 2.0 designs for landing pages? Well, 2.0 in my mind is just kind of a more interactive user interface using Ajax and stuff like that. I mean, if that's appropriate to hide complexity or to do error checking or something like that, or to provide supporting information, then certainly use those kind of tricks and techniques, but it's not a separate thing in my mind. Yes?
I had a quick question. I've seen some sites that have started using small pop-ups to get your email address and form, but they haven't really rewarded you.
Right, dumb. It's like saying bye-bye, go away. Don't ever use entry pop-ups unless you test them. Don't do it, just don't. Exit pop-ups are another matter, okay? You lost them, they're gone. Okay, maybe you'll get some value out of them, but don't interrupt them on the way in. Be clear about your priorities. Again, if you really have two goals, put both on the landing page. Make one more prominent. This is primary goal, this is secondary goal. That's okay, but don't interrupt me with secondary goal before you even let me see primary goal, okay? I think we have time for one more question. We're running out of time. I want to remind you, whether it's rotten tomatoes or rotten eggs, please fill out these questionnaires. They really give us helpful feedback, and give them to the folks outside the door. Really appreciate it. So one more question. Who's the last victim? Yes, sir.
When you mentioned your A/B testing for your homepage, is the go to the next step, or is it a total conversion?
Okay, so the question is, when you're doing a test, do you measure the amount of people go to the next step or the conversion end to end on the process? And the answer is it depends on your data rate. A lot of times you'll want to do several tests. For instance, we did a test for a red envelope, okay, and the conversion action was how many people from the product detail page did a put to cart. It wasn't the ultimate sale. It was just put to carts, because there were a lot more of them. We could gather data faster and come to conclusions faster. So it's okay to use these little intermediate micro actions on the way to your ultimate goal. Absolutely. That's a way to multiply and bulk up your data rate. Thank you. You guys have been great sports. I have some cards up here if you want them, and I'll stick around.